People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right. Today's episode, we have one of my favorite people in the entire world. He's not only a magician, he's an amazing man. I got pages of notes, and I have a little monologue for you at the beginning. But calling him a friend doesn't begin to describe who Ron is to me. Ron Schneider's been like a father for me most of my adult life. He was there the day I became engaged to Natalie. He was part of our wedding. He helped me through the loss of both my parents. His home was one of the first stops when Lana was born, and again when the twins were born. He was sitting in my living room cheering me on the night I won Penn and Teller Fool Us. Ron wrote an article about me that appeared on the covers of the FCM magazine and the Linking Ring magazine, and he even took pictures. If you've got those magazines, the cover photos, Ron took them. He has witnessed nearly every major chapter of my life. He's lived an extraordinary life of his own. He is an accomplished athlete, studied to become a dentist, and became a successful corporate executive. Worked with some of the coolest magicians alive, and dedicated years to helping families in Central Virginia. Today, I get to turn questions around and tell a story of my friend, mentor, second father, Ronald Lee Schneider. Ron,
Hey.
after hearing all that, how does it feel to know that you're such a part of our family, man?
I feel exactly the same way as both of you. I mean, you all have been a blessing to me, to Mary Lou before we lost her. You guys have been very important to my life, and I thank you for that.
Dude,
You are certainly family. You're more than just good friends. You're family.
I'm going through the notes, and I'm like, dude, he was there for everything.
Yeah.
Woo! Why does that make me emotional? Why does that make me emotional? I want to cry. I love you so much. Why does that make me emotional?
Special.
I can relate to that. I hope I don't cry.
Yeah. All right. So, what was the first memory you have meeting me?
Walking into a magic shop near the University of Virginia campus, under the bridge there. I know you know where it is. It was relatively new. It was when I first retired from Compaq Computer. We were moving into the house at that time, and I found that there was a magic shop in Charlottesville, which really was a shocker to me. And I came down, I walked in, and you were in there that day. And I remember for the very first day, we walked in and started talking to each other. And from that point on, we just struck up a very strong relationship. That's before Natalie, you were in the picture at that time. Not yet.
Nope, not yet. I came years later.
I was dating like crazy. You met lots of girls.
I did. I'm not going to talk about those now.
I said that I've told people, and I'm going to tell my kids. I think God set me on that path, and I played bingo until I found what I needed and wanted in life.
Yeah.
And if I would have just jumped on the bandwagon and just married the first one, my life would have been a disaster. But well, I had to know that's what I wanted.
It's so good you waited because you hit the jackpot this time.
I did. 100%.
Very 100%. Special. You are, Natalie.
You guys are sweet.
So at that time, I was doing like birthday parties and working in the magic shop, going to college. Did you think I would end up being a full-time magician later on?
No, I don't know if I did or not. I thought you were very talented from the very first time. One of the things I noticed when I came into that shop was how you treated the customers, how well you treated with a very strong interest in every one of them, whether they were kids or whether they were adults. You just had that knack with working with those people. And I saw that as a great skill. With that, and of course, that's carried over into your profession too so much. Your personality is a perfect fit for what you do, along with your skills.
Well, I give that credit to growing up in the magic and the video store. You know, Dad had that pop shop, and everybody were your friends.
Right.
They gave you money, yeah, but you became friends with them, and they want to come back and hang out with you. Same thing with customers at magic shows. You know, we follow them on Facebook. We share memories with each other, and they book us year after year after year. Do you want to book the guy that you barely know, or you want to book the guy you really know that promises to do an awesome job next time and change up the show for you? So, yeah.
Yeah, very different from when I was a kid, when I first got into magic and interested myself when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I suppose. But I remember going into the first magic shop, and when you're a kid, some of these owners, they don't want you in there. That's how you feel. They really don't want you there. They don't think you're going to spend enough money. You're not going to buy. I did have a magic shop in Cleveland where I grew up that I got to, and the older man that was there, his last name was actually Schneider, but it's S-N-Y-D-E-R, and he was wonderful. He always treated me really well. In fact, when I stopped my interest in magic from about 12 years old until I was almost 28, I took a break because I was into sports at school and doing other things, and then went to college.
And girl.
But when I joined IBM, which is what I did in 1968, I decided as I went away to sales school in Franklin Lakes, New York with IBM, I wanted to get back into magic. I figured it was a good time. So I went. I bought a couple of good magic books. In fact, I got hooked on Harry Lorraine's magic. I have a whole library of his books still. But Harry Lorraine kind of got me back into it. I was 28 years old at that time when I got back into magic. As it turned out, but after I met you and we moved back to Charlottesville in 2000, it was in 2000 when I met you, by the way. It was the year. So that's 26 years ago. And when I came back, after I met you, I actually was, I had done, back in the 80s, I had actually done magic in Charlottesville at a restaurant for about 2 years probably. That's where I met Mary Lou, in fact, when I was doing that in Charlottesville. An old restaurant called the Gaslight Inn, and I did walk around magic and did magic in the patrons there. Enjoyed that a lot, and it was a great experience for me.
Now,
restaurant too.
so
That's
was that what is now a Jimmy John's in Charlottesville? Is that building? I always had that building.
No, when I was in it, it was at Barracks Road. But he
Okay.
originally was down on University Avenue near the university.
Okay.
That's where the original Gaslight Inn was. And but he moved out to he was actually in one of the storefronts when I met him and when I did it at Barracks Road.
When I was working at Regazzi's, which is now Jimmy John's,
Yeah,
I thought that used to be the old Gaslight Inn because it's gone through a whole bunch of different things. And now it's a Jimmy John's, which is really weird. It was a sit-down restaurant. But anyway, I didn't realize that you guys had met at a restaurant like us.
Yeah. Well, I didn't meet her there. I met her someplace else. But when she was living in Alexandria at that time, Mary Lou was in Alexandria up in Northern Virginia. But I was still with IBM at the time I met Mary Lou. I know you know this, you both know this, but I was going through a divorce process. During that process, a lot of changes in my life were going on at the same time. Right near at the end, when the divorce was about final, was when Mary Lou and I met. It was in 1982. And we were married in 1983. And I think you got some. Well, you knew Mary Lou as Nani the Clown too, because when we moved to Atlanta, Georgia, with Compact Computer, she took some clown lessons from a clown by the name of It's Me, and she loved the clowning. And I know you. I think you guys got a picture of her, but
Oh yes.
and but I know you probably saw her in makeup, in fact, over the years.
I
But
never
that
saw
was
her dressed up. She was retired. She was retired from clowning, I guess, when I met her. Yeah.
Yeah, she.
But
By the time we retired, she hadn't done it for a long time. But when we lived in Atlanta, she was very busy. She was very involved with. It's Me the Clown was also her agent, and he used her a lot. He loved her for parties, and so she was really good with kids. I taught her a little bit of magic, just enough so she could get by, and she was very good, and she enjoyed that. But one of the funny stories about that is when we were living in Atlanta. This was back moved there in '86. So in '87, I think it was when what's called Underground Atlanta was reopening. It had been closed for a long time, which was shops. But she and Ismi were down there. He took her with him, and they were there for the opening. They hired them to be clowns for the opening. And they're walking down the street there, and outside one of the bars there is a number of Hell's Angel bikers, okay, standing around their bikes, and they're walking down there, and as they go by, one of those guys yells out to them, "Mom and Dad, where have you been? I haven't seen you for a long time." And Mary Lou came back and said, "Well, son, when did you get out of jail?" And I said, "You said that?" And she said, "Yeah, I did." And she said, "What happened?" She said, "They almost fell over laughing, all of them."
My earliest memory of Mary Lou is going to the nightclub where we did magic and having people pick her to be on stage. And she played, I have no idea what's going on, although she'd seen that trick a million times. better than anybody I've ever
Yeah.
seen. Better than a civilian, even. She was
Yeah,
awesome.
Mary should have been an actress, actually. Yes.
Yeah.
She was awesome.
Yeah.
God, I love that lady. All right, so as I'm doing research, you told me you played football in Cleveland, but doing a little digging, I found your Elucid News Journal article.
Euclid, Ohio. Yeah, the suburb of Cleveland.
I knew I was right when I saw that word because I was like, I've only seen that in your newspaper clippings in your office. You played football for the high school Panthers. What position did you play?
I played wide receiver on offense and defensive back on defense. Back in those days,
Wow.
back in those days in the 50s, you typically played both ways. They didn't have an offensive team and a defensive team. I played both ways all the time.
Well, when you
different
played
world.
for a single A high school like I did, you did as well.
That's true.
Right? You're right?
Yeah, my high school, I was in a big high school for that time of year. We had 500 graduates in my class. So
wow.
And that was in 1958.
I set the bench on offense and defense. So I kind of I found your 1956 article describing Bob Kramer throwing you a 34-yard touchdown pass. Do you remember that play?
Oh, yeah, I remember that play. That was my junior year.
Wow.
Did you have colleges looking at you for scholarships or anything for football?
I was recruited at Northwestern and ended up going out to California, and I played for what was called the junior college, which is what all the city colleges are now, and the community colleges that we all replace. So that was the beginning of that. I played in Glendale, California for a 2-year school, and I played both years there. I was in pre-dentistry at that time, and I was just getting the basics in place. And then I transferred to Ohio State. I came back and got accepted at Ohio State at dental school, and in 1960 entered the dental school there. And after 2 years, I decided I don't think I want to be in this position the rest of my life, like looking into other people's mouths all day long.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah, so I ended up dropping out, and in 1968. I ended up joining IBM. I got an opportunity to go to IBM, and I spent 17 years with IBM.
Where did you start with IBM?
In Cleveland. That's another story. I was
what type of position? Were you always in sales, or were you in a different position to start with?
I was in sales and sales management throughout my career in both IBM and Compaq Computer. Yeah.
Nice.
It was always sales. That's probably why I liked. That's why I say Wes had that ability as a salesman, not just a magician. Wes, you're a superb salesman too, which I think is something everybody who is successful has to do some selling. You got to sell yourself. You got to sell your capabilities. We all are. The one thing someone would have told me in high school you're going to be a salesman. I told them they were crazy. My thought of a salesman was someone who sold used cars on a used car lot, or knocked on doors selling encyclopedias or vacuum cleaners. That's how I thought of salespeople. But I had an opportunity when I was hired in 1968 to go by IBM. I was hired to go back to California. My first wife and I were actually hired to go back to California by the Beverly Hills office of IBM. So that's where we were supposed to go. When I interviewed with the branch manager at IBM in Cleveland, was a friend of the branch manager in Southern California. They were friends. So the manager in Southern California said, "You interview him. If you like him, you hire him, and I'll take him." So when I came back from sales school, the branch manager in Cleveland said, "Do you really want to go back to California?" And I said, "Not really." He said, "Well, you got a job here." So I ended up staying in Cleveland. And that was in 68. And then in 74, I was promoted to a sales manager in South Bend, Indiana, where we moved to South Bend, Indiana.
Wow.
Until 1980, and then I moved to Charlottesville. Yeah, that was in 1980 we moved to Charlottesville. Right?
So we flew by your athletic prowess here. You weren't only a football player. I found a report saying that you tied a 10-year Lucid record in the 440 Euclid in the 440 yard.
I ran the 100, the 200, the 220. Back in those days, it was yards. It's the meters now. It's now 400 meters, which is the metric quarter mile. The 440 is a quarter mile. That was probably my best. That was my best events, but I ran the 100 around 10 seconds flat in high school. 220 was about 21.9 to 22. So I was fairly fast. Unfortunately, I only had that record for 1 year. The next year,
Wow.
the guy I ran with came up and he went to state and won the state championship, and he ran it in like 47.8. My record was like 50.2 or something like that. He ran it in about 47 seconds, and he was the state championship a year after.
Yes. Those are real life flashes.
Well, he's got those. He wasn't
Yeah.
that fast. He just used his long legs.
No,
I got little legs.
I
I'm jealous.
can tell you, no, that I'm a slow runner. I got some long legs. I can't run fast. That's
Well,
awesome.
I've seen you perform. You've got quite a bit of athletic ability to do what you do on the stage with this guy.
Well, thank you.
You
But
do.
doesn't have to include any running.
Most people don't realize what goes on behind the scenes with some of those illusions you two do.
No,
They're not easy.
they are not easy.
And performance sick and injured and everything else. People have no idea, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. We don't have to tell them about it. They just see the show, and that's all that
They
matters.
just no. It looks like pure magic when it happens. Like it's just like it's supposed to. Uh-huh.
They don't see the bruises. They don't see where I accidentally stabbed her with the sword, which
That's
wasn't
right.
my fault. Get out of the way.
I don't
Yeah, you hear that a
agree
lot.
on that.
You hear that a lot, don't you, Natalie? Yeah.
Yeah, he knows he was the one.
I didn't do it. You didn't get out of the way.
Uh-huh.
You know it's coming. So, as a kid, getting in the newspaper, were your brothers jealous? Are your brother jealous?
No, my brothers were both great athletes too. My older brother was 5 years older than me. He was a quarterback. He tried out with the Cleveland Indians for baseball in high school. He was a captain of his college team in baseball. Both of my brothers, my younger brother and my older brother, were both outstanding athletes. My older brother could do anything. I mean, he was my hero. He was.
No.
When I was 13, he was a senior in high school, and he was the quarterback on the high school football. He was the starting quarterback from his sophomore year through his senior year, all the way through high school at our high school.
Wow.
He was an excellent athlete. He picked up bowling. He ended up averaging about 220 in bowling. He could play golf. He never played golf. In golf, he broke 90 in his first summer of ever playing the game. Then he never really played much anymore. He just was a great athlete. And he played Class A baseball in the Cleveland area, which is sandlot baseball, until he was in his 40s. And I think he's played through 5 different decades of high level baseball competitively. So they were both very good athletes. My younger brother also played quarterback after I graduated, same high school.
So I got to know your mom. Natalie never did.
No.
But
I've heard stories, though.
She was awesome. She was a fun lady. Your dad, was he a salesman?
My dad was a partial owner of a Nash dealership in the 40s, but he was probably the most sought after service manager in greater Cleveland area. I mean, everybody wanted him. He ran the service department as a phenomenal. He made every service department he ever worked in. He made very profitable.
Wow.
And he was a salesman. But again, he was very good at what he did. He was very successful and as I said, he was very sought after. Every dealer would have taken him in a heartbeat as their sales service manager. A different time though. He wore a Hart Schaffner Marx suit to work every day. He looked like he stepped out of GQ magazine every day, and that's how he went to work. And now they're totally the professionalism in the department. The guys out there walking the cement floors in the service department don't dress like that anymore. It's the service manager, but certainly a different time.
Before my restaurant gigs, we'd spend lots of time together. I'd come over at like 3:00. I didn't have to be at work till 5 or 7. Or I'd come over at 2. I mean, we'd spend hours together. And you would always show me magic. And I'm like, Ron, why weren't you full time? What? Don't you want to do this for a living? This is the best job ever. Ron, you can do this. Come on, Ron. I just remember you blew me away. And I'm a full-time magician. And you're showing me stuff that's like, whoa. You are amazing, Ron. You are amazing. What was the first trick you ever saw?
The first trick I ever saw probably was watching it on TV back in the early 50s when I was in after maybe 10 years old, and was probably Joanne the Magic Duck.
Okay.
The card trick, and I don't know who that was on. It was one of the shows like, wasn't Ed Sullivan? It might have been Ed Sullivan, but anyway, he did that card trick, and that blew me away. And later on, my go-to for magic was probably the one that I probably most admired was um, Don Allen out of Chicago at that time. In fact, when I was in South Bend, Indiana, I brought Don Allen in for what we call our family dinners to entertain, and I brought him in. Got to know him. He taught my kids how to stack dice on our kitchen floor because he came over and sat. We all sat on the kitchen floor, and he was stacking dice with a cup and I got two of my kids could do it very well. They could do it better than I could.
Wow.
And they were little. They were young. But Don Allen was probably my favorite magician. I really enjoyed him. Got to know him. I can remember him going out to dinner with him one night. He and I went out to dinner, talk about the meeting we were going to have, and of course, he can't stop from doing magic. He was like you. When the waitress came up, he took the cigarette through a coin, and of course he smoked them. It was just fun to watch. I mean, he did very simple tricks. We would call very simple, but they were absolutely magic in his hands. They were marvelous.
Imagine him smoking like a chimney. Did he smoke like a chimney?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
he smoked a lot.
When I watch him on videos, that you can hear the smoker's voice and things, and I'm like, I imagine constantly lighting them up.
Yeah, he was a smoker.
You also hired young Copperfield, for one of your events.
Well, that was with IBM. I'm sorry, that was with Compaq Computers. That was, in fact, the first time I saw David Copperfield was when I was at one of IBM's 100% clubs in L.A., California, and they had hired David Copperfield when he was 19 years old. Nobody knew him anywhere. He was just out of high school, but he was very popular already in the L.A. area. And so, the first time I ever saw him, he entertained us at one of our events at the IBM. And it was fantastic. And then we brought him back in for Compaq. That was with IBM. At Compaq, when he was well known, we hired him for a show. Got one of the young women that worked for me at that time. He floated. Fantastic illusion, but great entertainer. Blackstone Jr. I had the opportunity to see a number of times. I think I sent you a picture of him with my daughter, and we took afterward. The first magician I ever saw I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and it was his dad in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Blackstone Sr. I would say when you asked me that's probably what really got me interested in magic. But shortly after that, I was probably about 8 years old when my mom and I were in Woolworth's dime store, 5 and dime store they were called. You guys don't remember Woolworth's, probably, do you?
I do. I know it.
I know the name. I've never.
I think they had one in the downtown mall when I was little.
Well, they were everywhere. I mean, they were all over. Yeah.
They had the food counter in the store.
Well, they had toys. Okay. And we were walking through there when I'm with my mom, and I saw the Mandrake the Magician magic kit, that little in a cardboard box with a little really colorful cover on. And I kind of let her know I really liked that. Well, she went back and bought it for me. I still have that somewhere. It was in the actual set that I had from that. Pretty beat up, but it was something I just kept. But yeah, so that would have been probably around 1949, probably. Wow. Yeah, I was probably 8 or 9 years old when I saw that. I got that. So that was my first magic kit.
So Copperfield is probably the biggest known magician. You booked him, or you had your people do it?
Well, I had nothing to do with that at Compaq. Our PR department in Houston, Texas, at headquarters did that.
Okay.
But was there and got a picture with him afterward. And but I didn't book him. I booked Don Allen again with IBM. But what
was the booking process? Did you talk to him directly?
Well, initially we went through an agent, but Don Allen called me back, and we struck up a relationship after that. So and South Bend is it's less than 100 miles from Chicago.
Okay.
So it's not hard to get to. You take the train or drive down. It wasn't a big deal. So I brought him in for a family dinner, where the family comes together with the husbands and wives and the kids for us. And IBM did those once a year, and that's what I hired Don Allen for. He's more close up, but he does stand up and platform magic too. He did it all. He could do it all. Carol Fox, I got to see him a couple times too. In fact, the clown trip that I made, the trick I did with Mary Lou as a clown, that was his trick.
The nose.
Oh, neat.
Pick
The
a
nose trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a Carol Fox trick.
I love Carol Fox.
Because I would take that picture out in front of the audience, and they said, "Well, you'd like to see a picture of my wife?" And I showed them the picture of the clown, and that's how I opened that all the time. Because she was my wife. It was real.
Yeah, yeah. So you also, I think it was Compaq Computers, when you became like the vice president of sales. You told this story. You told Mary Lou, I think, is the one that told the story at dinner with Natalie and I. And we were all on the floor laughing. And I told you one of the main things for this podcast, I want to get that on video. Can you tell me that story? And how, I hope you don't leave anything out.
I'm very glad you don't have the actual happening of this event on video. I'm very happy about that.
You know, I've searched the internet.
I don't think it's available.
Last night.
Yeah, it was. I got promoted. It was at that time I was in Atlanta, and I got promoted to the Western Regional director, operations director, basically from Chicago all the way to the West Coast. And the day that they were going to announce that, we had a big event of salespeople in Houston for this, and I had to fly from Houston to Chicago, and my plane got in late. So I'm running around trying to find out how I'm going to get to the event, because I know they were going to announce my promotion at this event. So by the time I got to a car and got to the event, I'm out of breath. I'm running. I walk in the door, and as I walk in the door, my boss at that time, who was the vice president of sales for Compaq Computer, he's getting ready to announce my promotion. And then he finally says, he saw me come in the back door. And he said, and I just want to, this is very, very important to me to announce that Ron Schneider is now the director of operations for the West Coast, and he waved to me to come on up. So I'm now at the same time, we've got a brand new product up there. This is what we did back in those days. We had a new product. We kept them under a veil, and usually with threads and stuff attached to them. So when they uncovered it, when you announced it, nobody had seen it yet in the audience. Okay, it's a brand new product. It's sitting up there with a cover over it. So I go up and I walk up the steps to the stage, the platform stage, and somehow I get my foot caught in one of the threads holding up that. So anyway, as I go up, it pulls the sheet off this brand new computer that's sitting up there. Okay, and it's supposed to be a big announcement. Well, but anyway, so I get up there, and as I get there, I'm on the stage, and he's still talking about me. And I'm standing, and I'm kind of backing up one step at a time. Well, this was in a hotel party room, basically, and there were hundreds of people in there. Well, everybody at Compaq was there at that time. And I'm backing up, and I take one step, and I slip off the back and disappear. I went right off the back of the stage, okay? Because there was not really a stage, it was a platform, so there was no wall behind it, okay? So and then my boss Ross Cooley says, and let me introduce to you our new director of operations for the West Coast, Chevy Chase. So yeah, it was not only did I uncover the surprise of this new product that they're announcing, but I fell off the stage, and people thought they knew I was a magician. I just disappeared, literally.
But you said you just came in from outside, and the going from sunny to that dark ballroom. Also, you. But
that's a great excuse. That's the one I use. That's right.
Okay, all right. That's what I heard, and now, okay, I'm getting it. You just used an excuse.
But I love the Chevy Chase thing, because I mean, you could totally imagine that happening in a Chevy Chase movie. He walks in for something and he falls off the stage. Yeah.
About Chevy Chase's reputation in the '80s, yeah, and what he did on part of his act often, yeah, he was. It looked like a Chevy Chase act.
Wow. So let's get to this part here. After your enormous success in corporate America, you decided another chapter in life of serving people in difficult circumstances. So can you talk about your involvement in the pregnancy centers of Central Virginia?
Yeah, I will. I'll go back to when I was going through the divorce, my first wife.
Okay.
And I was probably, I would say I was an agnostic. I believed in a God, but I didn't believe in the God of the Bible, because I didn't know who the God of the Bible was. I had never read the Bible. In my family, we just never studied the Bible. We went to church when I was growing up. A cousin of mine who had come to Christ as an adult happened to be in Charlottesville while I was going through this and stopped by to visit me. He was there for a business reason. Remarkable. It was, to me, this was part of what how God works. But he just happened to be there when I was going through this. And he came and spent an afternoon with me. And at that moment, the next morning, I felt the Holy Spirit. And I came to Christ totally in that feeling. The morning I woke up and went in and shave and looking in the mirror, and something was different. And then I realized what it was. But my cousin opened that door for me. He just passed away a little over. His wife and he both passed away within 6 months of each other last year.
Wow.
So first of all, I came to know Christ as my Lord and Savior. I think that was probably the most important step, and probably the most important decision I've ever made in my life. And not probably, I know it is. So that was the first thing. The other thing is, even before I was a Christian, I was pro-life. So when I was in dental school, I actually did a human anatomy class where I had the opportunity to actually work on a human cadaver. And I remember going through that and looking at the parts that go on. Every little organ, every little stem off of a nerve that's about, it looks like a thread coming off of your spinal cord, going to do one specific thing typically. I remember looking at the thyroid gland and looking at that where it's at, and it's a butterfly gland that's kind of right up in under your neck, high on your chest. It's a butter-shaped gland, and in that gland, there's 4 other glands, but each of them are the size of the pin. If you look at a butterfly, there's like 4 little pea-shaped glands in there called the parathyroid. That parathyroid has one thing to do, and that's to manage the balance, how calcium is utilized in your body to make the bones and to make your heart work. Calcium is needed for a lot of things, along with potassium and all of the major elements. And as I dissected and went through these, and I remember taking some of these tests and having to identify these, I said, how in the world could this have all come by evolution? It's impossible. This is too complicated. This took a designer. Somebody had to design this. This just didn't come from nothing. Nor did the world come from nothing, although it did. God spoke it into existence. First line in Genesis of the Bible tells us that God spoke the existence of this world and the universe into existence from nothing. Now science even agrees with that. Physics even says that. The Big Bang, which they used to talk about, is true. There was nothing but a vacuum, no light, no dark. So there was no time. It all began from the beginning, is how the Bible opens up. So what was before that? Nothing. That was the beginning of time as we know it. But time, space, and matter all came into existence at the same time. I knew that. I've never, even in high school when they were talking about evolution, and it was kind of early on in the 40s when I was taking biology, I questioned it. But more and more, as I lived through it, and again, looking at the human body, taught me that life is precious. This is something special. That we are each, as God says, we are the masterpiece of all His creation. Human beings are, and that's how much He loves us. So to me, that was a very important thing for me to understand. And I believe that verse. I remember getting into some discussions with family members back in the late 60s and the early 70s before Roe v. Wade came along, and they were all for legalizing abortion. And they couldn't understand why I wasn't. You're a science major. How could you not believe it? I said, because science doesn't prove it. Science cannot prove that evolution happened. It's nowhere near. It can't. Although they treat it like it's settled science. It's not. It's still not today. So that was the big part of my decision and how I became. From that point on, when my cousin came and visited me back in 1982, it was a very I was ready. He at that time gave me his Bible. He'd ask me the question: Do you have any beliefs? What are your spiritual beliefs? And I said, I believe in a God. I said, well, who is the God? I said, at that time I was in you both know this. I was in a 12-step program because of a program was called Al-Anon, because I had an alcoholic in my life, and that was for me to work through my own problems with and issues with. And when I did that and went through that, it's like the 12-step program says, God as I understand Him. And that's what I told my cousin. I said, well, yeah, but it said, God is I understand Him. And he said, well, how do you understand Him? How do you know? And I said, well, it's just the way what it really was, I wanted to believe that I was God. That's what I liked about God, is my understanding. It's giving me permission, basically, to create God in my image instead of having an understanding that He created me in His image. He handed me the Bible. He said, "Ron, have you ever read this book?" And I said, "Never." I knew a little thing. I knew enough about it to argue about it, but I never knew enough about it because I never read it. He said, "If you want to know who God really is, you need to read the book." And I started reading the Bible. So by the time Mary Lou and I retired, we both were very involved in our church there in Charlottesville, at First Baptist Church of Charlottesville. And then when I retired in 2000, Mary Lou volunteered at the pregnancy centers in Charlottesville, and they were coming up with a class to come for training counselors to counsel these young women to come in, and young men. And she wanted to go through the class, and I said, I really would like to do that too. Men aren't very good at counseling women in this situation. She said, she told me, she said, but they need men counselors too, because a lot of these girls will come in with a male. Then 90% of the time, that male is there for only one reason: to make sure we don't talk her out of having the abortion he wants her to have. Mm-hmm. So I went through it with her, and I started counting. I went in quite often. I went in on Thursday nights, because that was the night we had the ultrasounds, when we could get girls who were contemplating an abortion to come in and see what is actually growing in their uterus at that time. They could actually see it. Ultrasound was a tremendous tool for the pregnancy center. So I counseled a lot of men. Well, when the director, who actually was the original director from 1983, she'd been there, she was stepping down, and I had been asked to be on the board. I was on the board for the pregnancy centers at that time. This would have been 2005. The board asked me if I would mind stepping into this role for a while. But we'd been searching for about 3 months for a new director. And they asked me if I would step into that role. And at 65, I was 65 years old then. And I said, yeah, I would do that but I don't think I'm going to stay in for. Well, I stayed there 6 years before I retired again. I came out of retirement to take the role of the executive director of the pregnancy centers in Charlottesville. At that time we had 4 locations: one in Culpeper, one in Charlottesville, one in Albemarle County, and we had one in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and one in Orange, city of Orange. So we have 4 locations here. So yeah, to me, value of life and the pro-life advocacy is very important to me. I was pro-life before I was a Christian.
Yeah. And I think what you guys did, though, too, you weren't just convincing them to keep the babies. You were helping them as well. You had so many things, all the things that they would need to have this baby, you had available for anybody who needed them. And I think that's diapers. Right. Yeah. All the supplies that you possibly need. Like, I think that's almost important too. Yeah. I mean,
almost like a food bank. You had milk and diapers.
And some of the very best experiences I've ever had in my life. This happened. It just happened 50 times while I was in that 6 years I was there. At least 50 times was when one of those young women comes in carrying that baby that she was about to abort before she came into our facility the first time. And you're all right. We don't just say, okay, we saved that baby, but we'll go on to the next one. We're there to support that woman. And many of them some of them have already had an abortion before this time. They've had a previous abortion. And we had a wonderful program and a wonderful a team for post-abortion counseling also. And the women and the men need it. I've got a close friend who was involved with the pregnancy center that told me the story that he himself had his girlfriend while he was in college have an abortion. He drove Planned Parenthood, walked her to the door because they wouldn't let him come in with her, and never saw her again. He walked away. He gave her the money to pay for the abortion, which at that time was probably $400, $500 to get the abortion. He paid for it, but he was so guilt-ridden from that. This was 30 years later. He was still tell me, say, if that would have been my son, I probably would have been coaching him in Little League or baseball at this time or something. The calendar meant things to him because he realized he snuffed out the life of his own daughter or son. Yeah. Because he agreed to it. He didn't agree to it. He helped push her to do it. And then he dropped her because he didn't want to do anything. And he was guilty. He came. I mean, this man was a Christian, but that was a turning point in his life. Yeah. Not uncommon. not uncommon. And it's a common sense. It's right now we hear so much about, well, it's a woman's choice. And the most current one that's around all the time is it's a woman's reproductive health issue, or it's a woman's health issue, reproductive health issue. And I like to say back, if it's a reproductive health issue or truly a health issue, how many other procedures do you know that every time one of these procedures are done, a human being dies? Every time. How can that be health? How can that be called good health, women's health? And by the way, in the 75 to 80 million that have been since Roe v. Wade 1973, at least half of them have been girls. So they just wiped out probably 35 to 40 million girls. But they never got to take their first breath.
I remember Mary Lou wore that little pen of those little feet every day and every outfit.
Yeah. The little pin of it's a little gold foot of the size of a baby at 9 months. That's a footprint of a baby. That's what that little gold pin was made from. The footprint of an in uterine baby at 9 months. At 6 months.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Aww.
Well, are you glad you took on that role? That was a crazy shift from corporate.
I probably felt more that was contributing something to society there than I ever did anything in my whole life. It was coming out of retirement at 65 years old was, and I'd already been with him for 5 years as a counselor. Okay, so I'd already been doing that, but this changed. This was the best decision I probably ever made in my life.
Did you guys have nights where you came home and you take it with you? I mean, you have to.
Say that again, Wes.
When somebody decides that they're going to go the other way and you take it home with you, that all right. So working with this place, I mean, it seems very heavy on your shoulders. Did you ever take work home with you? How do you turn off at nighttime?
Almost every day at times, yeah. Both Mary, but we had a lot to talk about. We had a lot to pray about together too, because we prayed for these young people all the time. It was important. But yeah, I would say probably the one I remember the most is Mary Lou had a client. This was in '05 when I was just taking the job. Exactly. In fact, I just accepted the job, but I had another job with the Gideons that I was doing, which was to register all the state people who wanted to come. We had 500 people registered for this event coming at the DoubleTree Hotel that night. And as we're walking out the door to get there early enough to be set up to have the registry set up for everybody when they got there, we got a call. And it was one of Mary Lou's clients who the day before had called Mary Lou and told her that I'm not going to abort my baby, although I originally had planned to do that, but she changed her mind. Well, as Mary Lou gets the call, she said, I've changed my mind again. I'm going in tomorrow to Planned Parenthood to get my abortion. Well, she explained it. Her boyfriend who got her pregnant had gotten another girl pregnant now, too. So he had two of them. Okay. This isn't unusual. It sounds like something brand new, but no, this is what goes on, okay? And so he's got two girls pregnant. This one had no idea he was even seeing this other one, of course. And he had promised he was going to be a father, and although he pushed her to have the abortion initially. Anyway, she does not. She changes her mind, and we're walking out the door. So as we're registering people, Mary Lou's really, she's crying, but because of this, because this young girl was really was very adamant about not having the abortion after initially deciding to have one. So we had everybody coming in as they checked in. Mary Lou's telling him all of this story, asking him to pray for this. We gave her first name, and that's all we gave him. Pray for her. So before it's all done, by the end of that day, that first evening of registration, and then the next morning, people coming in the next morning to register, we found out the same thing. The people are just coming through, they're getting her name, and they're praying for her. We had 500 Gideons praying that night from them. So that next morning she gets up, she gets another call from her. I'll call her Karen, okay? But she gets another call. And she said, I just came back and I did what you said, Mary Lou. I told them to show me the image on their screen of the ultrasound. And they didn't want to do it. They said, you're not going to see anything. It won't mean anything to you. It's only for the doctors. They'll know what it is. But she insisted, because Mary Lou said, that's the last thing she said to her. Make them show you the image on your ultrasound. And they did. She turned the screen. She got up off the table and said, "That's exactly what the lady at the pregnancy center told me it was going to be." She said, "That was a baby in there. That was a baby."
Aw.
And she changed her mind on the table as she getting ready. So when we announced that next day before the big dinner on the Saturday night, now it got announced there, and Mary got up and thanked everybody, and they got standing ovation. The power of prayer. We have 500 ladies praying that night for her to change her mind back. And she told Mary Lou later. She said, her daddy, this girl's daddy was a police officer, I think for Albemarle County. And when he did not want her to abort. Her mother did. Her mother was pushing her to have the abortion, which is one thing I never could understand either. The mothers are probably quite often it's the mother that pushes their daughters to have an abortion. That's as much as it is the young boy, the young man who's probably the father. But she basically said, my daddy told me, you go back to see that lady that you like so much at the pregnancy center, and don't make this decision. Well, she called the next day and had changed her mind. But her dad reinforcing the fact that the pregnancy center gave her the right choice to make. And she remembered, and she called me again Saturday morning. We're getting ready to go back to the again. Should we get a call from her again? She said, and I remember the day that she brought that baby into the pregnancy center to show us. That is one of the greatest rewards you're going to see when you know that baby is because of a changed decision from abortion to life. And that
Wow.
was those were some of the best days of my life to watch. I had my camera there. We took pictures of them all, and always gave them pictures and stuff too. So, but it's beautiful. But the work they did is unbelievable, and it's a Christian ministry. It's not a the pregnancy centers are Christian ministries. They all are throughout the country.
And that baby's probably 21 years old now.
That baby's in his 20s now. Absolutely.
Wow. Wow.
How awesome is that?
And
Wow.
That's
and
great.
the other thing she said was, "I'm getting ready to." This was a reason for getting it. Besides the fact that her boyfriend has got another girl pregnant now, she was getting ready to start nursing school at Piedmont, and she was afraid that was going to interrupt her. Well, so that's the other. That's what I've always said. There, things haven't changed much since 2,000 years ago, or 3,000 years ago. The only difference is the name for the God that they used to sacrifice their babies to. His name was the God in Canaan, and was Molech. And I've always said Molech is not dead. He's just changed his name from Molech to convenience. Because 99% of these abortions are only because of convenience. It's not convenience. I can't go to college. I won't be able to graduate. This is going to happen. So, and she was afraid she wasn't going to have anybody take care of the baby. Her mom, her grandmother, stepped up and took care of that baby for her while I remember when she graduated and got her degree in nursing.
Oh,
So
that's
she got
awesome.
to nurse. She got to go to school. She got to get to nursing school, and her grandmother, not her mother, her grandmother stepped up and took care of that baby for her.
Aw.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that's at the same time Mary Lou and I were taking on grandkids.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we were going through some tough times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as that was going on, we were fighting for custody of 3 grandchildren too, which we ended up with until they graduated from high school.
Ron, it's been a crazy ride, man. I don't know how to get back. I don't know how to change gears after that because that was so heavy and awesome and heavy and awesome. But you watch my career develop. You watch my family grow. What do you remember from the night that Natalie and I got engaged? Do you remember that night? I'm taking a left turn here, man.
Say that again.
Do you remember the night that Natalie and I got engaged?
Yeah, I think I remember that night. Yeah.
On my birthday, Natalie, tell the story.
I was happy to have everybody come over, but I was super nervous because I was making chicken and rice for like the first time for everybody. And I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out.
I remember, yeah.
Then I remember you guys came over early and I was cooking and Wes was like, I'm just going to show him something downstairs in the magic room. Okay. And then I remember him doing a trick and then he was like, he said he wanted to do a magic for everybody for his birthday. And he said, here, Natalie, you do this part. I'm like, okay. Yes. And I start taking stuff and throwing stuff.
Yeah, I remember.
And I took out it was a card box, right? And I just dropped it, and Mary Lou spoke up and goes, "Oh, but what's in the box?" I was like, "I don't know." And so I open the box, and I start flinging silks out of the box, and the ring goes flying.
You almost threw it away that night. Yeah, before you ever got it. Yeah, I remember that very well.
But that put me in a position to be on my knee to pick up the silk
Yeah.
that you just threw.
It worked
And I
out
was right
for
there. Yeah. Wow.
I remember it, Mary Lou specifically, when I just kind of tossed the box. "Oh, but what's in the box?"
Yeah.
I had no idea you guys were in on this, and I had no idea this was happening. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
I do remember that. Yes.
What about a memory that we have is taking Lana to go see you. As soon as we left the hospital,
Yes.
we took Lana to go see you and Mary Lou at your old house, and you guys came out to the car to
Yes.
meet and greet her.
Yep.
That was absolutely beautiful.
You guys, I'm telling you, you've been there for every spot, man.
What a beautiful baby, and what a beautiful young lady she's growing into.
Aw, thank
Wonderful.
you.
Yeah.
But you guys gave her a little baby doll when we stopped by the house. You gave her a little baby.
Yes, but right.
She still has that baby doll. She cannot go one night without that baby doll. Doll looks like it's worked in the coal mines for 14 years, but
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
it's clean dirt, because I have tried my darndest to clean that baby
So did the
doll.
people in Mexico.
Yeah. Well, I've had other grandchildren have the same thing. Olivia had a bunny that she totally wore out.
Yeah.
And her mom, Tracy, tried and actually found brand new replacements for it. So she put them away. So as one wore out, she could replace them with another brand new one. She bought about 3 of them at that time. So, and Olivia still has probably the third or fourth generation one now still. And she's married and pregnant with her second child coming right now too. I don't know if I told you guys, but Olivia's having will deliver in September. Her second.
Wow. Wow.
Great.
So when the boys were born, you guys met us at the hospital.
Yeah.
We were in the we were. Well, was that?
It was COVID time, so you couldn't
That
come.
was COVID time.
Yeah.
So we couldn't go into the hospital. We met you in the parking lot.
You were
And we
there.
have pictures of you guys holding the boys.
And there was a big rainbow behind you guys in that
There
picture.
was. I remember that.
Yeah.
That was a sign, huh?
And the night that I was on Full Lust, what did you think about that night? What was going through your mind when I won Full Lust?
Probably the greatest thing going through my mind was pride.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with it, but you were great.
Dude, having you there, having your daughter there, and having Oscar there. Ron brought a couple people with him that was his family, that his family too.
Just made it even more special.
I gave him a tour of the house, and I said, "There's a piece of Ron in every part of this house. Look at this. That picture of Nani there. That picture of Ron. Yeah. Ron gave me that picture. Look at that one. Yeah, it's so awesome.
That was very special.
I don't think there's a room in the house that doesn't have something from Ron and Mary Lou.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. Even the kids' room has something that they've given the kids. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Well, we have moved since we've known you since 2000. I have moved probably 4 different times. So every time we move, we say, okay, who gets this? And I said, well, Wes and Natalie get that. Mike, somebody gets. We knew some of the favorite things that you guys might like to have.
No.
So we just it was a chance to keep them where we knew that they'd be appreciated. You know.
Yeah.
So after everything, Ron, what would you want everybody to remember you from in your career? Would the pregnancy center years? Would it be compact computer years? You as a magician, you as an amazing, just all around cool dude. What would you want people to remember you by?
I think I'd be most remembered by being a solid follower of Jesus Christ.
Well, that's true.
That he's the most important thing in my life, and has been, and I actually look forward to the days when I can be with another great story is both of my wives, who I love dearly, both of them. Even though my first one didn't want to stay married anymore, but she came to Christ at 78 years old, 6 months before she was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think it's I think about the two of them in heaven together, Mary Lou and Myra together, loving each other, because that's all you're going to do in heaven.
Yeah.
Well, and you also went on vacations together. I mean,
well, we went. Oh yeah, we didn't go on vacations together, but we had a lot of events where we accepted each other. We maintained a very good relationship. And Mary Lou actually really loved Myra. she told me one time, she said, if it hadn't been for the way the situation ended up, we could have probably been very good friends, you know.
Yeah.
But Myra came to Christ. Well, I was 40. Well, I guess I was 41 when I came to Christ, and she was 78, and she died the next year from
Well,
cancer.
when Mary Lou was passing, she woke up in the room. I wasn't there, but you told me the story. She woke up and she said, "Oh, it's you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell everybody that story?
No, this was the first. I stayed with her at bedside the last 2 nights. No, I was. This was the first night, Saturday night. She died on the next night, actually overnight. She actually died on a Monday morning because I watched her take her last breath. But yeah, where was I going with that? She was it was on Saturday night when the night before she died. I was standing up and I was holding her hand. It was as she was waking up, and she looked up and kind of said, "Oh, it's only you," because we were talking for the last couple of days. You're going to go to sleep and you're going to wake up in the presence of Jesus Christ, and it was me. Wish you both did.
But I mean,
But she was in her sense of humor. She could pull that up, waking up out of a sound sleep.
Yeah.
In the last night before she died.
I can totally see it.
It came right out of her mouth. Oh, it's only you. I thought you told me it was going to be Jesus when I opened my eyes.
Right.
golly,
Aw.
I don't know. What does this say here? I'm trying to get the last thing here. I don't know. All I know is I love you, dude. That's all I want to tell you.
Well, I love you both so much and your family. You guys are very special to me. And again, all of our families been blessed to have you guys in our family. And I belong to all my family. Think of you as part of our family. And I know you got your own family, but you can be very blessed. You can have two families that you belong to.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Three really, with your twos and ours. I love you very much.
I love you, man. Thank you for doing this today. I appreciate it.
God bless you guys, and thank you much. I'll be talking to you soon.
You know it. I think the only thing I'll have to say is see you next week.
Absolutely. God bless. Bye bye.
Check us out online at wesisley.com and patreon.com/Wes_Isley for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled Wesiseli.